Okay, so this is kind of, it's not a tutorial, it's more of a guide. So for anyone who thinks this is a tutorial, now is a good time to switch the video. But for anyone who stays, cool. So anyway, this is the sketch layer. I broke it down in a few steps. I did this a piece which is hopefully in the thumbnail of the video. But yeah, I kind of want to break down a few things. Okay, so I want to say one, but then we're gonna begin with the most important thing, which I'm probably gonna bring up like 10,000 times over. Reference. Okay, so this was one of the main points of reference. I love Gen Z's work for Hades, and I played the games for Hades, and I don't own the Hades game. I played it on someone else, at someone else's house. I was inspired, but like I want to buy it. I'm gonna buy it soon, I think, maybe, hopefully. Anyway, so I like the way that in this piece she used her line art, and I wanted to mimic this kind of full-on black like but I don't know if I wasn't like gonna exactly do this, but like I like the way that she uses all of these confident blacks in her line art. It's very I just like, it feels very comic book style kind of, and the way that she uses it on metals really brings out the shininess of the entire thing. But anyway, when I was starting with the sketch, I didn't really have this idea for the reference. This came up later, but I want to bring up reference as early as possible because it's the first thing you should always do when you're coming up with an idea for the piece. So anyway, apart from this reference, I had this poster of Ben 10, and one of my favorite shows, I love Man of Action. Anyway, basically I had this forearms. I love the forearms character, and I wanted to implement it on like. I've been doing a lot of like deity kind of characters. It's just something that is really, I'm really just trying out for a while. I'm not. I try a lot of things. Is one of the things that I think I should also tell, like everyone should basically just, just don't get stuck on something. Anyway, let me. That's gonna come up later. Anyway, so the first thing I want to say about the sketch is that it's good if it's messy. But the thing about being messy is that it shouldn't be too messy that it stops making sense. So it has to like read, it has to make sense. And this is something that I think sometimes applies, but it's not always 100% necessary. Like for example, for illustrators, a lot of portraits don't really take into account story, but I like the ones that really have some kind of like you kind of feel like there is something about the piece other than what you see. Also, even at the sketching stage, I kind of try to get someone to critique my work. Anyone, literally. It doesn't have to be like the best artist or whatever. I just always, even like I just go around and ask my siblings, my my mom, and just try to get a general scope as to how, and like everyone has their own thing that they'll tell you about the piece that you never really noticed, and will generally improve the piece, unless for example it's the kind of feedback that is like, oh, it's great. I like that kind of feedback, but I don't know how helpful it is for me as an artist. I always want to feel like something is wrong with my piece, and I can make it better in some way. Anyway, apart from that, so when you're done with, sketch, I sometimes sketch in pencil, but sometimes I do it digitally. But anyway, I try to build up some kind of structure. So with this character, it's like she has this kind of like direction, like it's all vertical, but like it's not a straight line. I wanted to break it up, like, so you see that from the head to the collarbone is its own arc. Then in the chest area it goes like diagonally, not that diagonally, but like up to there, and then like so it's like that, and then like that. So it creates this kind of like path that is kind of, I don't know if it's too interesting, but like it leads you up and up, like vertically to an angle, which I felt it wasn't like the most exaggerated thing I could have done, but I felt it was interesting. Plus, I probably should have like tilted her. There's another thing. Yeah, sorry. So like basically, when you do, I'll say sorry too much. When you do like a character, you have to like figure out the areas that are like counterbalancing each other. So you see, like at her waist area, this is like at an opposite direction from this, and her head as well. So I was like trying to come up with these interesting angles that make her character interesting to look at. But moving away, it has to basically, also another thing that is highly important is practicing your proportions, looking at stuff and like deciding, okay, I'm gonna try and do maybe an arm or something, so you get like some reference. Okay, let me show you what it's like. So basically, I'm gonna open this reference, maybe just stick to this one. No, this one. So these are more dynamic poses. So I usually paste in a bunch of work to keep me inspired by like a specific group of artists or whatever, so that I can have a general idea of a direction, basic direction I'm moving. So I love a lot of videos that break down the different ways, but another thing that I love to is straight angles. They're really interesting to look at generally. I'm not as good. Gen Z is a master. I love her work. I can't explain how much. It's just really, this game really moved me. I even got like Transistor, and I want to get the other. Anyway, so yeah, this is basically when you're breaking down, when you're learning how to do these different limbs. I would tell people, if you don't know how to do something, and you want to learn it a bit faster, you don't trace. You just try to get the shapes of the pieces so that you learn from the artist. Oh, this is what they do. Oh, this is interesting. I used to, initially I used to just trace a lot of artists, but then I realized it wasn't getting me far. So, yeah, actually I think when I stumbled upon Ethan Becker's videos, they really helped me. yeah, anyway. I would advise that people watch his videos. Really, really hilarious, and he's really cool. Anyway, so yeah, you try to. I try to look at how, for example, you can see there is some kind of counterbalance if you look for it. It's one of the things you have to look for these things if you wanna. People like ask, oh, how do I find out where to put these these lines? You have to look for it in other people's work so that you can kind of learn how they do it, because otherwise you won't really know how they do it generally. Yeah, so you can see like it's a concurring kind of thing. I don't know if it's like, yeah, so there's this one. Anyway, moving forward. I think you kind of get the point. So yeah, so yeah, as you go through, always, reference. And then, yeah, I'm gonna go on to another thing. Move on. So, when I was inking this character, I was thinking about how I can, make her interesting to look at. So there's a few things I usually do. Okay, so I have a bunch of brushes, but then I usually just tweak the ones that are default. So this is one of the default brushes in Photoshop. I think you can find it is it in wet media? Yeah, it's this kind of like this one. But then I grab it. I usually go to get it in my version of Photoshop. I don't know why. If someone has the same problem, you can tell me. I usually just hit the circle brush, and then I hit this brush presets, brush settings thing that opens up right here, and then I pick the number 60. I don't know. It's basically like size 60. I don't know. So, and then I try to edit stuff in here. So this is like the shape of the brush generally, the arc that it will make. So I come into shape dynamics. This tick means that this is what is active for the brush at the current time. So I either mess with the size jitter, but usually I just do some angle jitter and I just leave it on, and it's like, it creates this like, if it's like really a big brush, it creates this kind of like rough texture at the edges. It's not the best, but like it just gets a quick textury feel. If you want to add more to it, you can just do the size jitter thing, and then it becomes, really, really ragged. And anyway, so apart from that, I also sometimes, in order to get smoother lines, I first of all, let me turn this down. Yeah, I come to the smoothing section, which basically, can I say, smooths out your stroke. See like how it's like lagging behind? So if I turn it off, you'll see how like crooked these will get. Yeah, it's like a bit more. You have to be a bit quicker when it's off in order to achieve the same. But like, since I'm super lazy, I just go with 100%, and I just do like the quickest. Like it's really quick for me to do this way than try to achieve this without smoothing. Anyway, so when yeah, line art. So one of the that's it doesn't really. So there are different ways that this can affect your style, but it doesn't really. I don't know how much line art. Yeah, is really important, but like for a beginner, I don't know how much you have to have practiced the like thick and thin in order to like really get some interesting results. But I'm not really good at it yet, so I can't really talk too much about it anyway. So you can, for example, use colored lines, which will give you a different feel to your work, I guess. And again, critique. I always get critique even at this stage, always to basically just check myself and get others' opinion on my work. It's a good practice for me to always try and get critique. Okay, I think at this point I should kind of talk about the piece. I don't know. Anyway, so when I was doing this piece, I had a couple of things, some things I was struggling with, and some things that I was very interested in trying to do. I've I've recently been addicted to adding swirls to every one of my drawings recently. I don't know if it's like something I'll grow out of. Maybe I will, maybe not. I just love them a lot. I put them whenever I can in a piece. Anyway, it's probably not a good idea, considering that I want to do like some of these in 3D. Be a bit difficult for me too. But I guess it's like it won't be impossible. I'll just need to try several ways in order to see what I can get with these. Anyway, so I was like, so when I was doing this water, at first I was thinking of like doing a normal like splash with foam and it's just like effect brushes and stuff. But then I was like, it doesn't have like this kind of. She feels, I don't know. It felt like I needed to do something about it. So I kind of got these arcs from the Japanese famous water paint. I'm forgetting its name. Anyway, basically that was a huge point of reference for these kind of swirls. But it's not a replica of those. I wanted to, it to remain like stylized in a way. So it's like, and I made sure that these swirls always like are kind of, they're not getting in the way of the piece. It's one of those things that I like. Here I could have covered up the arm, but I made sure that it has to be lower than everything. It has to remain like an extra, like just an extra thing in the piece. It doesn't have to. It will start to create visual noise if it starts, can I say, becoming more prominent, like if you had large waves, and it just starts like attacking the piece, is what I think. I'm not I tried it out, but like kind of edited that out because it wasn't looking very good. So anyway, and I added them into her her space here because I was trying to, connect her to this, create some kind of harmony between her and the water. I don't know how much that went through, but I felt like it was something I should keep, so I kind of kept it. Yeah. Also, I also tried to add some story in this piece by, creating some kind of structure, and the gaps themselves create this kind of like, oh, what is this? I don't know. That's what I received when I was trying to get critique, so I don't know about. And plus her eyes, another thing that I was struggling with, because whenever I had pupils, I love how they did it in the Ben 10 series, but I hadn't looked at too much reference for the four-eyed characters, which I should have, so they had like no pupils in the show, so I ended up deciding that was a much more interesting choice. To me, at least, it was interesting. And I was trying to also figure out how the nose bone structure would go. It might not make sense here, but that's another thing. When you're illustrating, not everything has to make too much sense. It has to make enough sense for to get the entire message through. This is not a tutorial on how to draw this kind of thing. I'm just giving a step-by-step guide. Just repeating that again, just so people don't, Anyway, so we went through there. My thing is acting up. Yeah. Okay. So. The next thing I want to talk about. Oh yeah, it's there. Okay. So, the next thing I want to talk about is color. So, it's another really interesting thing that I, sometimes struggle with. Yeah, so color is a very interesting thing because I wanted to do some kind of like, I wanted to have like very cool colors in my piece, and I wasn't, when I started off, I had these two blue colors, but like another thing I should have probably talked about is values. Values are actually the main drivers of the entire piece. It's like, yeah, without values you don't really get depth and things also start to, in the piece, start to, I don't know how to explain it other than they start to fight each other. They start to, you know, go against other things, and basically you just come up with a muddy piece. Yeah, so yeah, when I was coloring the final piece, I basically had a few things that I was thinking about. I was thinking about how I was gonna, you know, create this, how I was gonna like make her stand out, because since there was a lot of blue, I knew that I had to use warmer colors in order to, you know, push her forward in the piece in general. And so like the eyes, the points of focus, the eyes, this piece I feel was a point of focus, and the bridges between focus I think also. And I had to add a necklace. It's something I discovered. It was like, there was like a lot of visual, can I say, emptiness. It was like so empty, the piece was too empty without this tiny little prop. So yeah, it's something, a piece of critique I received from someone. This floating arm over here was another point of focus, but it kind of, you know, fades out when it moves away from the entire vertical piece. So it's like around this region in which someone's focus usually goes toward. Yeah, so that's why the swirls go in this direction, pointing towards her, you know, face. But down below here, they are, you know, they just go out into space, because it's not really, it just, they lose, they're not too, when they're closer to the point of focus, it makes sense to direct them towards what you want them to look at. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, this piece, I also realized that there was a lot of blank space. I don't know whether these eyes helped, but I felt like it creates extra, you know, an extra, you know, story kind of thing to it. So I just added these eyes, plus they all guide you towards the main point of focus. I made sure they all point towards the points of focus, making sure to lead the viewer exactly where I want them to look. Also, I added these random, you know, colors, streaks, something I just found it's very interesting to, you know, Gen Z inspired some of them, but no, also like a bunch of other artists, you know, do this kind of like extra line work of color. Anyway, what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about, yeah, I think I did. The last thing, get critique again, because yeah, without that critique, I wouldn't have been able to know that all that this entire piece required just this little prop to make it a lot better. Plus, even these eyes were part of the critique. Yeah, so the person was like, oh, there was a lot of blank space. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't think it was a problem until, you know, someone brought it up. It's something that helps. I don't know. This piece is not the it's not the best. It's just like my most recent piece. Anyway, just wanted to break this down for you, and hope you like this video. Alright, bye.